he's kind of like Madonna and Cher at this point. Like, I really feel like when I just say Vineet, like everyone just knows. And so, hey everybody, it's Gary V. I'm here at Possible 2026, and I'm here with Lauren G. Lauren, you said something the other night that I think is so spot on around trust. Can you please tell the audience why you think trust is the most important variable in marketing and business in 2026?
Yeah, well, I think first and foremost, trust becomes incredibly important when you think about the consumer, who essentially at Chase, we have the most important relationship with the consumer as their financial institution. And so trust as a currency is something that we think a lot about because we invite them to engage with new products that they may love. And quite frankly, the relationship that you share with a consumer, that trusted relationship the brands become beneficiaries of that.
And actually, let's just go right into the Chase Media Solutions because I think it's fascinating. I think a lot of people still don't understand how undervalued the opportunity is. Like literally to your best homies, your best relationships. When you went into this role, when you explain it, what's the ROI? What's the opportunity at hand?
Yeah. Well, what's unique about Chase is that because we have transaction data, marketers only pay for the outcomes that we drive.
Yes.
Because we naturally close the loop in our platform, we have the purchase transaction. So as someone who's been a marketer for many, many years and worked with a number of brands, small and large, I have a level of integrity that I work with marketers around because every dollar they give us, we can responsibly attribute down to a sale.
Yes.
That becomes really important. Secondly, is because we have a full view of the consumer. I see not only what they're purchasing at their travel, in the life in the retail store, in the purchases that they make every day for their families, for the meals that they have. That becomes really insightful for a marketer because we can then plan as a way to personalize messaging to the consumer based on the insights that we have about them.
Yeah, I mean, the data's uncomfortably clean, right?
Absolutely, and also in a world where bots are now more present than ever as the evolution. They've always been, but with the evolution of AI, there's a lot of fraudulent transactions that take place inside of other platforms. So that's something also that brands can have a really strong level of confidence working with Chase because we have verified human beings.
We're just kicking off at Possible. Have you been able to sniff out any theme or anything that people are really talking about, or what's the buzzword, or what's the conversation? I know you're always hustling, so you've been at multiple events, even though we're 5 seconds in. Anything standing out as the theme of Possible 2026?
Look, I think we're all trying to figure out how to navigate AI in a way that not only supports us with our teams, with our infrastructure, but how we continue to come to market. That's just naturally going to be a conversation we continue to have. I think community and experiences are also something that are becoming increasingly more important as people are craving connection. People are craving community and to touch and feel products and brands. And so those are other things that I think will continue to become more important increasingly as digital platforms continue to evolve, but take up more of our time. We'll crave that human experience as well.
What about, we talk a lot about overpriced or underpriced attention here at VaynerX Land and with marketers. Anything standing out to you as underpriced opportunities for marketers?
Underpriced, I think in some ways, because we sit at the transaction moment with the consumer, I think that we can become highly relevant and that becomes something that's really unique. Also, everything within what we bring to market is initiated by a consumer. So what I mean by that is we invite consumers to engage with brands and then they opt into that engagement with the brand or not. So that's high value and in some cases also low cost, low investment to the marketer. So just to build upon what you're saying, I'm not sure if that's the direction that you were going, but I think that becomes again, brands become the beneficiary of us having that really close to the consumer transaction data.
Something I'm fascinated by, curious your take. So, you've got this incredible career. You've been in some really phenomenal companies. Has there been something that you maybe early in your career really believed and the market has shifted in a way that you have a different observation on? I guess when I'm lucky enough to talk to somebody who's in it and been in it, is there any change your mind moment or the reverse? Is something even more profoundly obvious to you that's true that maybe early on started as a hypothesis or gut feeling?
Look, I started my career in TV. And so one thing that I think as we've become closer to performance marketing, the emotion in storytelling, the emotion in how we create connections with people via branding, I think that's something that I have always seen become incredibly important in addition to driving transaction. I used to always say, we used to call it direct response marketing back in the day. and it was usually bought in remnant inventory. But I used to always say, like, it's all DR marketing. It's just delayed response when it's brand, right?
Brand to conversion.
And so I think brand building and the relationship that you build through brands is going to continue to become even more important, and in some cases may have a higher value because most brands are starting to become even more transactional, right? So just driving the performance piece.
I want to wrap with something you said right before we went on camera, which is like fashion is everything, right? And you always bring it fashion-wise.
Thanks, Gary.
Give you some flowers. What can every business, banks, AI companies, just curious, I think you'll give a fun answer to this. What do you think most brands can learn from fashion? Anything stand out? Anything?
Look, fashion is about how you feel. Fashion is a very personal experience. So what you may think is fashionable, Gary, is a relationship that you have with you and with.
Yes, what I think is fashionable, most people do not.
Yeah,
believe
and
is
that
fashionable.
wasn't a knock on Gary.
No, but it's true though. And I understand that.
Yeah, and the way I feel and what I wear is going to be very personal to me. It's an energy that you bring. So fashion isn't necessarily about what you have on your body. It's about how you feel and who you become because you have that on your body. And I think brands can think about this in the same way. The products we bring to market, the solutions that we bring to bear, it's about how you feel, the energy that you put into that product. That's what the market feels. That's what the consumer feels. And so just translating that back to business, I think whether it's fashion that we wear on our body, whether it's the products that we bring to market, it's about who it is behind that, the energy that we bring to that ultimately.
Yeah, it's such a great point because when you think about fashion, it's one of the categories where we're all wearing clothes right now. Depending on the logo that is associated with our fashion, there's an extraordinary amount of price that can be charged for the right logo, even though the commodity might be similar.
Sure.
And I think for every business and brand, the ability to maximize your value because you built such a story, I see it quite a bit in fashion. That question was incredibly serious, not a fun ender.
Yeah.
Because I think there is a lot to learn.
Yeah, well, thank you.
See ya. Hey everybody, it's Gary Vaynerchuk, Marketing for the Now, 2026, Miami Possible. We have Vineet from Chime here. He's kind of like Madonna and Cher at this point. I really feel like when I just say Vineet, like everyone just knows, and so it's a pleasure to have you, brother. How are you?
Great to be here, Gary. Great to be doing this again with you, man.
Vineet, first question. What's kind of most top of mind as we are now well into the spring? It's crazy. Life goes fast when you get older, right? Like, we're gonna blink and 26 is gonna be over. We're already more than a quarter of the way through the year. What has stood out? What's the company focused on? And what are you focused on as a very progressive marketer?
Well, look, and this probably will go right into how you think about things as well. We're focused on getting attention and translating that attention into a durable business that's going to last for a really long time. And that starts by really, how we show up in the world. Are we showing up in the right places? Are we showing up with content, both with speed and quality that people actually want to watch?
What are the right places right now, in your opinion, in April 26?
We're finding, at least for our consumer, attention's in a few places. One of the first places where attention has remained and is actually growing is actually live sports. We've invested big time in sports. We have partnerships with the WNBA, the NBA partnerships we have. We actually started with the Mavericks. We've kind of moved into the WNBA. We're now the banking partner for the MLS as well, getting right ahead of the World Cup before all the attention for soccer or football starts to explode in this country. We've got athlete deals with Cooper Flag, Jackson Dart. We think sports is still the place where live attention goes. And so we go deep into those to tell stories in each of those areas that really matter. The second place is, the streaming platforms. We're deep in branded entertainment right now. We've got 3 original programs in pilot right now, just going into the development phase, doing some casting, trying to really.
So true I'm a big believer in this theater. It's why I have Vayner Watt, a TV production company. You're talking true 1950s television where you as a brand are really in the content, not in the commercial break.
Yeah, look, brands have to be entertaining. They're not getting attention. And so from telling stories that are connected to live sports to being truly, like you said, in the sort of full-on sort of television, old school 1950 style production. Now, the genres of those are changing, right? We could create our own game show about love and money. We could create, series about traveling on a budget, right? The key is finding those subcultures that really connect with your brand and being able to tell really authentic stories in each of those areas. And then lastly is social media is not going away anywhere. YouTube Shorts, TikTok, Facebook, it's not quite the deal it used to be 15 years ago, but if you can win organically, you've got a huge opportunity there.
Yeah. So on that point, you just talked about what is working. If I did a hot or not list, what platforms are you concerned about? What do you think is the juice is not worth the squeeze? What's off the agenda or something you're contemplating? We always believed it was valuable, but you're concerned the ROI is not there as much.
Look, I'll give you one more obvious answer, and then I'll give you one that you may not be expecting.
Go ahead.
The first answer is, anything on linear TV outside of sports.
Yes.
We have literally in our upfront stopped buying everything. The only thing we buy is linear sports because there's still a lot of attention for live sports and major tentpole events. It's not that TV or that 30-second spot is gone. You just have to execute it in a totally different way. Streaming,
it's expensive.
CTV, and if you can't find a non-upfront way to do it, it's too expensive. You just don't get the ROI.
And what about that's the obvious one? What's the curveball?
The curveball, and I think this is emerging, is in a world where all of us are going to have the same media optimization engines and creative optimization engines. You give money to Google and Facebook and they're going to take care of the rest. What's going to happen over time is that channel is just going to get more and more expensive and more commoditized because you're going to have thousands and thousands of brands bidding on the same audiences with very little control over how that media sort of gets distributed.
Yep.
And also, frankly, the creative is going to go into the black box, get modularized and put out there. And I think over time, that's going to create less of an opportunity for brands to create a competitive CAC advantage in the classic direct response channels, which is why organic is where it's at, and brands
100%.
have to figure out how to crack organic.
Right, so you're talking about really letting the AI run the media and the creative. That gets commoditized because everyone does it. However, if you go organic first, which is a little bit more creative based
and requires taste.
Sure,
right.
and is measurable because if the views are achieved, the views are achieved.
100%.
Speaking of which, let's talk about this barbell thing that I'm fascinated by. An extreme AI creates the extreme analog opportunity. How much are you thinking about, if at all, around analog experiential events, real life meetups, high touch? I mean, I'm thinking, I have a publishing company, I'm contemplating print. I mean, this is insane to me. I'm excited about this. Hit your radar, on your mind, curious, affected as a marketer or even as a human?
Look, I think the key to experiential, if you're going to involve consumers in there, and I'll give you some examples of what we're doing, is to create a ton of value that they otherwise couldn't have gotten by engaging with your experiential activation. So let me give you an example. At Chime, I was sharing earlier, we are on the Dallas Mavs jersey, the WNBA jersey, the new Portland Fire WNBA team, we're their jersey partner, the MLS. So what we're doing is we're connecting our brand partnership with experiential. So for example, when you go to a Dallas Mavs game and you show that you're a Chime customer, we've created with the Dallas Mavericks a Chime entry VIP lane.
Wow.
So you get in, show your thing, you go in, you get free popcorn, free soft drinks for the night, and our members love this. They feel like they're everyday people get to feel like they're Amex Platinum customers.
Sure.
Right? That's been huge for us. The new WNBA.
And free popcorn. I mean,
who doesn't want that?
I mean,
And the new WNBA partnership with the Portland Fire, we went next level. We have the Chime lane, but we actually created a lounge for Chime members to go in and get cocktails and drinks and act like VIPs.
Love.
So the key is IRL is important. The key is connecting it to your brand story and figuring out, can you really create value in that experience that differentiates your brand and gets people talking about it in an organically social way.
I'll give you the last word here. As we wrap up from this week, what's your expectation that everyone's going to be buzzing about here, or what are you looking to find a conversation about?
I can meet a lot of these people anywhere I am, looking to meet AI founders. I'm trying to find those companies that are in the seed stage. Today's the worst AI will ever be. That's what I always say.
Right.
And so if you can get in early, co-develop those product roadmaps and find the founders on the frontier, I think that sets you up with a portfolio of players in your arsenal that you can really win with.
Vineet, thank you so much as always. Vineet from Chime, we'll see you next time.